Growing up, my grandmother lived with us, and she was actually born in 1916. So she always wore a wind-up wristwatch. I don't really remember what brand it was, but the first memory I have of watches is winding her watch every morning. I thought it was so cool. So as an adult, I fell into vintage watches. I like things like this from the 1940s. And I don't have expensive taste, but I guess you could call it eclectic, right? Like I like the old Vietnam era stuff. I like some of the 60s divers. This one is Italian Air Force, I believe. Just simple stuff that's not super expensive, but it looks cool and it's got a lot of history to it. And so I went on the search for a modern watch that I could wear, something that kind of fit this style, right? And while there is a vintage revolution going on, the one thing that I really love is the wood dials. It's been co-opted a lot these days by those full wood Amazon watches that like get drop shipped. And so I think that the wood hasn't caught on. So I figured, well, why don't we make one? And so that's what we're going to do because it turns out building a watch is fairly cheap. This case was about $18. This movement was $2. These dial, I mean, it was like $2 for a dial blank pack, which is what these are. And this is 100 very nice sets of hands. It was $4.50 for the whole 100. So 4.5 cents per set. And in doing my research, I learned that for something to be Swiss made, it only needs to be 51% made in Switzerland. So a lot of the budget brands, the $400, $500, $600, $700 watch brands, are getting a lot of parts made in China anyway. Now, I make things by hand. That's been my whole living. That's my whole YouTube career. So obviously, I would never tell you to just buy from China because it's cheaper. But when the brands are spending more money on sponsoring events than they are on putting the quality into the product, might as well just build one for 25 bucks. So that's what we're gonna do. This is a brass PVD case. I don't wanna make a fake Rolex or anything like that. I wanna make something that's a little bit modern because we're gonna use a quartz movement so that I can hammer in it and it doesn't get thrown off. And of course, we're gonna make a leather band for it. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make our dial. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm using barge cement. You can use it to glue down linoleum countertops. You can use it for leather work. You can also use it to make yourself a watch dial. I did a little research on watch manufacturing, and the one big thing that everyone talks about is how you want to make multiple dials because they don't all turn out. Now that's not wood, but I'm assuming I'm going to mess this up a little bit, so we're going to make 2 or 3 of these dials. This is going to be sealed up in a watch case, so my thinking is it needs to be stuck, but it doesn't need to be like, we're not building a house with this stuff. It's not structural. Once our glue is dry on both our wood and our dial, I'm going to find a nice piece of grain and just stick our dial down. Now, believe it or not, Rolex did actually make wood dial quartz watches in the late 70s, I believe. The problem is, to get one now, everyone speculates on watches like it's the stock market, and the resale value on one of those is like $15,000. And I'm not spending $15,000 on a watch. If you want an automatic with a wood dial, they can go up to $70,000. Now, I am just kind of winging this. I'm not a watch builder. This is not high horology. It's whatever the opposite, low horology. I have massive respect for watchmakers that make things fully by hand. This is not a jab at them. I do think that the mass market high-end watches are a little bit overpriced now. I have some 220 grit sandpaper and some quadruple zero steel wool from the barn that has seen better days, but will do the job. I'm gonna just make a little loop out of painter's tape so that I have something to hold on to. There we go. I'm just gonna go light circles. That's pretty much it. Now what I'm doing is I'm obviously sanding down this rough veneer, but also this is too thick for the movement to fit. So we gotta thin this out a bit. The dial's all sanded and trimmed. I'm gonna use some True Oil to get some finish on there. I'm using True Oil because it's gonna sink into the wood. I don't wanna add a lot of thickness because again, we have to fit our movement in here and we have to make sure that the hands fit on. And then we'll just wax it and be done. I don't want it to be super shiny because then it'll reflect against the crystal in the case and it'll look kind of weird. So we wanna just kind of get it a matte sheen. All right, we're gonna make a strap now while our oil is drying. That's gonna take a few hours to reapply. So I have some Newbury leathers. This is the South Street tannage in wheat. This is gonna be what we line with. It's kind of like a waxy sort of chrome excel type leather. And then I figured for our exterior, we could go with some faux ostrich. Now this is not real ostrich, and I don't really like using real ostrich skin because it's kind of soft, but also it's farmed. Ostriches are raised for their hides, and I just kind of try not to use anything but byproduct leather. So this being cow leather works well, and we can look at it with our case. I think that's going to look the part, but I do love this case. It's like matte PVD, so while it's got like the drilled lugs and it's thin and it's got the bubble acrylic, it's still like vintage looking, but not kind of faux vintage, like faux retro looking. We're at the clicker press, and I got a set of these cheap cutting dies from AliExpress when I ordered my watch parts. I just wanted to, people had asked me what I think of them, if they're good for beginners or hobbyists, and I've never used them before. I always use custom made dies from Texas Custom Dies, and these are much more industrial. They're handmade, they're custom shaped to my designs, and I have sets that I've had for almost 20 years that have never even been sharpened. They have probably close to 100,000 impressions on them. These are the way I go because something like that's about 80 bucks. This set was 20, and I actually made 3 straps with it, and the plywood's already cracking. So I didn't expect much, but I would say if you can afford it, this is fun if you want to make 2 or 3. This is literally cracking as I'm holding it. If you want to make 2 or 3 of whatever this is, sure, I guess I would just hand cut instead of spending the money. But if you're going to be making dozens, just go straight for the regular die. The other thing is you can't see, this is see-through, you can't see what you're punching on this. And as I have a pattern, I'd like to kind of make sure that the dots are evenly distributed, but I'm not going to be able to do that. Maybe it'll just make it look more random. Also, there's no release foam. Let's see. Yeah, that'll do. This is going to be the top of our strap. This is going to be the liner of our strap. We're going to glue the ends because we're going to fold them over to create our loops for our spring bars. I'm going to leave a little gap there. And now these are sized for me, so make sure that your straps are sized for whatever you want before you do all this gluing, because we'll end up with our final length. To create our loops, I just have an Allen key. You can use like a little metal rod or something. I just like having something to like loop the leather around. Then you can either use a bone folder or one of these squeezy things that I never know the name of. Set that glue, and we'll remove our Allen key to the other side. This is going to be the buckle side. Do the same thing, fold it over, and this is why we're skiving. We want these edges to melt into the main body of the strap. And I'm going to skive the ends of our liner. Now this liner is thicker than I would normally use, but that's only because our ostrich is thinner than I would normally use for the outside of a watch strap. So we're just kind of going with what we have on hand here. Either way, it's going to make us a really high quality strap. It's going to look nice and vintagey, and it's going to be very inexpensive. Now I usually put this disclaimer somewhere whenever I'm making a watch strap on video. Watch strap making is a very specific niche of leatherwork, and there are very specific ways to do it in the super high-end space. This is not the super high-end space. So if you want to know how people make watch straps to go on like $100,000 watches, this probably isn't it. But you could put this on a $100,000 watch. It'll last a good long time. This is a normal way to make a watch strap. Now we're going to glue everything up. The whole side, so the non-buckle side, I'm gluing the entire strap and the entire liner. On the buckle side, we need to leave a little flap open for our keeper to be stitched in later. So we'll do that. I can report that the shapes that are cut from those Alibaba dies are fine. I just think that the die itself wouldn't last very long. Gonna stick our liner down like this. This would make a nice exterior of a strap as well. And we're going to hand stitch our strap just like you would in the highest quality premium $400-600 straps. I'm going to go with a 3.8 8/5 stitch spacing. You go smaller. Traditionally, you go pretty small. I just don't like the look of like the 2.5 millimeter spacing. It just looks too small on my wrist personally. We do the same with the buckle side, except we just don't stitch all the way down. Edges. Normally, because these are both chrome tan leathers, I would do an edge paint, but we can get away with using Tokonol because it's got an acrylic resin in it. It'll seal out the edges. And I want to do that on this because I'm going to use Fiebing's dye, and I'm going to go really heavy on it because I want the dye to creep in on this edge. I'm doing that because once this is burnished, it'll give this sort of an aged look. And as we're building sort of a vintage-inspired little watch here, I think it'll look really cool to make it look like the strap has a little bit of age on it, but it's not like we want to add like a bunch of fake patina or anything. Now, I'm not just going to burnish flat like this because I want this edge to burnish too. I'm going to wrap my finger over and burnish that like a little bit on the top too. And that's going to give me the look that I want. So I use belt staples for my keepers. And to finish up our buckle side strap, I'm just going to slide the keeper on and then punch our holes. Once we stitch this, we'll be good to go. Before I stitch, I'm going to take my skiving knife, clip off the end, skive that down. Now we're ready to stitch this up and punch our final holes for the buckle and the sizing. This is another AliExpress tool that I got. I've actually had this for a while though. It works fine. It was cheap. I don't make a lot of straps, so it works for me. Just punches 5 evenly spaced holes. And that's all I need. I have one more cheap AliExpress tool here. This is supposed to punch holes for quick release spring bars. Basically, it just makes, when you see a watch say it has quick release strap, this is essentially what they're talking about. There's a pin here. You slide your strap through. This adjusts the thickness of the leather. Then I'm going to squeeze this, and there's a spring-loaded little punch here. So I don't know how well this is going to work, but if it works, kind of cool. Because again, everything's 20 bucks. This was 20 bucks too. And it makes the job easy. All right, we punched through. It's stuck a little bit. We'll loosen this up. Well, it punched. I didn't get a clean punch though. Let me see. Nope, no clean punch. Okay. Oh, yeah, it came out. It's not the cleanest punch in the world, but it works okay. Let's try it on this one. Okay, first we gotta clean the stuff from the last punch. Okay, I think we're all set up. Let's do it again. Good sound. Just wiggle a little bit to make sure it went through. Okay, we got a release. Well, nope, same thing. Punch, but it didn't go up. Oh, no, it did. It's just not a clean punch. I think the higher end hammer ones are probably your better bet. A few days later, here's one of the dials. Now this one is oiled, but not sanded. So you can see how the oil pretty much sunk in, didn't add any thickness to the dial. Once I polished, well, not really polished, but this is the finished dial. So I wanted it to be a little more matte. I didn't want it shiny because I didn't want it reflecting off of the crystal once it's in the watch. You can see we have a little bit of a shine though, and man, that oil and then wax just looks like it's on fire. This is going to be really cool looking, I think. To put this watch together, we don't really need much, if anything at all, and this is all really cheap. to buy these tools. This is just like a little kit of tools to take watch hands off and put them back on. There's a little blowy thing you can use compressed air to from like a dust canister or whatever. Ceramic tweezers I'm using. This is just a little clipper to cut the stem. This is another one of those tools. It's really pretty much it. The only thing I got was this little $5 movement holder. Now we need to stick our dial to our movement. So I'm just going to use, this is adhesive that you use to stick dive bezels onto dive watches. I have some left over from a bezel that I swapped on an old Seiko. This doesn't need to be very strong. This is like kind of the opposite of leatherwork, honestly. Like everything just gets sandwiched in this case. So it needs to hold, but it's not like very structural once everything's put together. And then we're gonna put the hands on, which I think I just did. Now it's time to put the whole movement into the case. You just wanna make sure there's no dust or anything. And there we go. Now we're gonna have to put a little spacer in here because, as you can see, the movement's lower than what the case is designed to do. And now we can close it up. We're done. Put the gasket in there. This is just a little bit of lube for the gasket. This will just make sure it's water resistant. I wouldn't go diving with it, but washing hands, that sort of thing. I'm going to need a spacer because this is a much smaller movement than the case is designed for. Saw people 3D print them. I'm just going to use a little piece of plastic that I cut. This is just pattern plastic for making leather patterns. I'll let you know if it works or doesn't, but I don't see why it wouldn't. It's just holding our adapter tight to the case. These are cool. Since I only have like old watches, I've never had a watch that comes with quick release spring bars before. I kind of get it. All right, you ready? Gotta say, that definitely scratches the wood dial itch and looks very period correct from the 70s with the ostrich. Yeah, that'll do. I'm not usually at a loss for words in my projects, but I thought this would just be kind of like a fun way to make a watch strap making video, and instead I'm like so stunned that I get to have a wood dial watch in my collection, and then it also costs like $45 and I built it myself. In a pile of old watches, it kind of looks like it fits in, but at the same time, the PVD case definitely modernizes it just a touch. You know, I'm surrounded by old stuff just all day. That's all I really care about. And this definitely fits the bill without being $20, $30, $40,000 like a vintage Rolex would be with a wood dial. So that's going to be it. In a world where everything is premiumized and upmarketed and luxury items are normal, like $70,000 cars, but healthcare is considered a luxury. You know, you can spend $45 and make yourself something like that. And if you can do leatherwork, you can do this for sure. I know I say that a lot about a lot of stuff, but it's very true with this. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to put my new watch on, and I'll see you in the next one.